League of Legends has been in an awkward spot for everyone outside looking in. Yes, League of Legends is supposedly the biggest esport in the world, and that's a fact that I realize I did not actually look up, and that's just what I've been operating off of for the last decade. But when you look at the company and what it's known for, or at least what it's been known for, it's only really been League of Legends. You can look at the list of games they've made, and only in recent years have they actually started branching out and making other notable games like Legends of Runeterra, which is still set in the universe of League of Legends, and also Valorant, which is now possibly their biggest game outside of League of Legends. In fact, Tencent asked Riot Games to make a mobile version of League of Legends once Tencent acquired the company. And Riot Games said, no, we're not doing that. We have too much pride. And then Tencent said, fine, we'll do it ourselves. And then they made Arena of Valor, which essentially just rips off League of Legends in just about every way. Now, a lot of League of Legends fans don't like the idea of League of Legends becoming a mobile game. However, I have an opposing opinion. I think Riot Games were complete idiots. Now, I don't really care much for mobile games. I play literally only one, and it's not a MOBA, that's for sure. But Riot Games should have been trying to branch out. It is a big red flag when a company just coasts on one thing for years. They're passing up opportunities, choosing to coast on a cash cow, and that's not gonna last. And over time, regardless of being one of the largest esports in the world, League of Legends players, their reputation kept falling. The common jokes I've always heard have always been, oh, you play League of Legends? So you're sexist. Oh, you play League of Legends? So you're homophobic. Oh, you play League of Legends? So you're racist. And you can copy and paste that exact same setup over and over and over again. And from what I've experienced as someone who does not play League of Legends and who has been outside looking in, I want to make that very clear. I'm not trying to accuse all League of Legends players of being sexist and homophobic and racist. But whenever I show those kind of memes to my friends who play League of Legends, they usually shrug and go, yeah, it's kind of like that. At this point, the only good thing about a League of Legends player is that they don't play Dota. But when I heard that Riot Games was actually gonna branch out and start a RPG game and a fighting game and an animated series, I didn't actually believe it was going to happen. This was announced years ago, by the way. I've wanted to learn more about the world of Runeterra for years now. I've watched every character reveal trailer they've come out with, and they've been making absolutely gorgeous animated music videos even before KDA. The work and the product of just about everything Riot Games makes is absolutely beautiful and amazing, but there has not been a way to fully immerse yourself in the world that they've created. Until Arcane. Opening with a hellish setting, showing the results of what looks to be an in-progress war, it starts nebulous and uncomfortable until it grounds us with Jinx and Vi as children. All of these characters we don't know yet, but we see how the death of what looks to be Vi's mom crumbles her as she breaks down, and a man carries them away. But now we see Vi filled with a new resolution. And I like how they did this. People usually talked about how, I don't know these characters, their death means nothing to me. But there is elements that have been changed to where the audience does feel sympathetic towards the characters. First of all, it did not show her dying. All it did was show us the aftermath. Her death does not have to have an impact on us as an audience, it has to have an impact on Vi. And not only that, but they are children. We are much more likely to sympathize with characters who are unable to protect themselves, like children, or like whenever someone kicks a dog. You know it's not a fair fight, and it's a great way to just show someone who is an absolutely terrible person. Because dogs can't really defend themselves as well as another human can. The same thing can be said with children losing their parents. It sets it all up for us to sympathize with them very well, while also establishing the driving motives and origins of these characters. We see some years later, they're older and willing to do things more dangerous, like climbing a building to sneak in and steal something. Very quickly, you get a sense of who these characters are, and we get an establishing shot of the city the story will take place in.
Powder, look at me!
I'm ready.
That's right. So? Thanks.
And this is what I like about how they did this. Yes, Powder, or Jinx, is young and not quite as capable. However, by having Vi there to push her into doing things on her own, it shows what kind of sibling Vi is. She knows their life is hard and that Jinx will need to learn to do all this on her own. There is only one problem with this scene. If they plan to steal something, why are they not wearing masks? Like, come on. They break into someone's house and just steal anything they can. There isn't a specific goal. They're just looking for stuff that's valuable. Powder finds this chest filled with these glowing crystals, not sure what they are. But when they need to escape, they sadly find out those crystals are explosives. Now their cover is blown. Literally. Shit. This is why you wear a mask when you do a crime. And you also cover up your tattoos. And I also don't condone committing crimes. They managed to get away, but not in a fun way. Now we see where they live. This city is split between those who live below and those who live topside. A very literal display of the disparity between the people. And when they have to fight others to keep their loot, it doubles down on making Powder a sympathetic character, unable to defend herself and forced to run. All the while, Vi is her foil, using her past trauma to push her forward and make her stronger. She tackles her problems head on instead of running away. Backed against a wall, Powder does the only thing she can do and ditches their loot in order to get away.
Every time she comes, something goes wrong. She jinxes every job.
And during a bad deal in a bar, we're reintroduced to Vander, the heart of the underground. And Vander confronts them about going under his nose to do their heist. And Vander goes full dad mode on chewing out Vi.
Those kids look up to you. When people look up to you, you don't get to be selfish. You say run, they run. But whatever happens, it's on you.
Vander goes to confront their informant, and Echo is there. He'll be important later, don't worry.
This weirdo came into the shop, bought a whole bunch of stuff Benzo only keeps there for display.
But how did you know where he lived?
Followed him.
Enforcers come looking for the kids, but Vander isn't stupid enough to rat them out, and they give him a way to contact her if he changes his mind. Remember those guys who tried taking their loot? Looks like they were working for someone much meaner than they ever could have been. And he knows that Vander is in trouble with the Enforcers. Not only that, but it looks like they're doing experiments with mutagenic enhancers. You know, part of me wants to comment on how obvious the cat and mouse allegory was in this scene, but I feel like we're so wrapped up in the ambiance of this setting that we're overlooking the obvious sort of allegories and focusing more on the foundation of the story that they're establishing. And it's so well done. This show bleeds with style. But then again, like, I suppose everything Riot Games makes, it bleeds with style, along with specifically this animation studio. And in a flashback, we see the origin of those crystals, a mysterious figure helping a boy's mother from the cold, displaying the intense power those crystals possess, and teleports them away. That boy is the man they stole the crystals from. Funny enough, that guy also had a lot of illegal equipment and needs to be locked up as well, even though he's supposed to be the victim in this heist.
A way to harness magic through science.
Magic?
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
Yes.
Magic? No.
No?
All the while, the people in the trenches are getting riled up with all those enforcers pushing them around. Now they want to fight.
Vander's gotta deal with the Enforcers.
Jace Talos goes on trial for illegal experimentation, and he admits that what he was doing was wrong, basically pleading guilty.
Why is the Academy pronouncing this?
I hope we should just finish.
I was trying to create magic.
Ya dingus? Heimerdinger said not to say that. Heimerdinger talks about how the Arcane can literally lay waste to civilizations, and so they really don't like Jace meddling with it, and they expel him from the Academy. Creepy guy convinces bratty boy to drink the angry goo to turn him into a monster for a plan they got cooking. And a man named Victor finds an interest in Jace's work and starts thinking that maybe he wants to see the fruits of Jace's research.
I want to help you complete your research. When you're going to change the world, don't ask for permission.
We're only 2 episodes in, and there's already a lot of moving parts. I did not think we'd be following this many characters. They like to do flashbacks in order to flesh out each character, kind of like how they do in shonen anime. And I like this approach. It gives just enough context around a character for you to get a feel for them. Anyway, just when we thought Vi was gonna give herself up, Vander gets to her first, and then the enforcers show up ready to take her away. But the enforcers just need someone to throw in jail. It doesn't matter who it is. And he saves Vi by letting them take him instead. Just before they can take him away, there's a little problem with a creepy guy coming to murder everyone with his new monster buddy. And from a bloodied window, Vi has to watch Vander be beaten unconscious and taken away by some unknown man. All the while, Jace and Victor want to break in and get Jace's equipment back before it gets destroyed.
I just need to scare them. They won't dare set foot in the underground again.
For what? Pride?
For respect.
That was never enough for you.
Not just for the lanes, but the whole of the underground, united as one.
And with the help of the counselor, Jace and Victor get their equipment back. Vi tells everyone what happened and grabs Vander's old gauntlets to prepare and free him. Powder isn't doing good dealing with losing Vander, but with the crystals she stole, she realizes there's a way to help. You know what I just realized? We all know that Riot Games really needed this to be successful. And you know what is one of the most successful types of storytelling? Origin stories. And we're getting the origins of a lot of different characters. They find Vander and try to break him out until they realize that this was all way too easy and is definitely a trap. And Vi prepares herself for a fight. All the while, Powder is working her way to get to them. And Vi isn't doing a bad job, but this cheeky muffin fluffer has performance-enhancing drugs. So she barricades them so they can get Vander loose and figure something out. All the while, Jace and Victor are figuring out how the crystals work, and just before they get caught, their machine actually works. Powder puts her gadget into position, and for once she manages to do something right, and to wonderful effect. Maybe too much effect, a whole lot of effect. She basically destroys everything and messes up the whole plan just when, you know, they were about to escape, so she didn't do anything right again. Vander, now free, picks up some makeshift gauntlets again to fight, reverting to the man he swore to leave behind. But it's a fight he knew he didn't have a chance of winning, and is only doing so to give Vi a chance to get out of there. And Vi realizes what happened when she sees the head of the monkey. And just like all those years ago, Silco finishes what he started. But Vander somehow manages to survive, and in a desperate attempt, he reaches for the serum. And as a monster, he manages to help Vi and breaks her out of there, leaving Silco behind. And Vi has to watch her adoptive father die, reliving the same horror from when she was a child. And Powder comes around thinking she helped, only to see she's the reason everyone's dead.
Help me! I told you to stay away.
Please, please.
I told you to stay away!
I need you, please.
And Silco finds Powder ready to kill her. Vi was about to go help, but an enforcer takes her away. Silco, being the clever bastard that he is, realizes that Powder doesn't know who he is and decides to help her.
She is not my sister anymore.
And now Powder is in the hands of the enemy, filled with the hate of betrayal. This was a strong first act. You can really tell that betrayal is and is going to be a massive theme throughout this entire series, just by those first 3 episodes. And the development of these characters is already surprising. How Vi wants to be a good sister and is already struggling to be who she wants to be, and how Powder feels abandoned and inadvertently switching sides. It sets it all up for some very exciting developments. Even though I try to turn my brain off when I watch these shows, I feel like it's a little obvious that Powder will eventually realize Silco either killed Vander or is lying to her, and switch back to helping Vi, and hopefully eventually mend their relationship, but I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to think that will happen because it's not going to happen. Let's see. Some time has passed and Jace is now a revered member of society, creating hex gates that revolutionized Piltover City. Science and magic now coexist. Silco is smuggling Shimmer into the city, that is until some rebels catch them and steal all of it in order to dispose of it. That is until their plans are thwarted by an explosives enthusiast we know all too well, and we can see Powder, or Jinx, working for Silco now.
Why did you let me?
And we see an interesting portrayal of Powder's brain, and how it is dealing with the trauma of what happened. How her memory kind of scratches out painful parts, like her friends' faces, while also making it scarier in her mind because it seems so inhuman. It's a very easy to understand visual representation of what's going on. Also, that was not Vi, she just looked like her. Jace and Victor have stabilized the crystals to make cool new weapons, and there's Caitlyn, Jace's friend, currently working as a rookie investigator trying to solve what's going on with Silco. Yeah, she was around in the first act, but she wasn't really a big character until right now. So I skipped over her in terms of how the story, she's friends with Jace. I also didn't realize she's actually like a character in League of Legends. I thought she was a character made for Arcane, and that was wrong. Jinx hasn't really had any therapy, and her trauma is evolving into what is essentially some form of schizophrenia or something. I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about this subject, but you get the idea. She wants to prove herself, and she's letting her pain push her forward. Jace wants to present his new inventions, but he's torn between listening to Heimerdinger and letting it develop more before bringing it to the public, or listening to the counselor and focusing on growth. And he decides to listen to Heimerdinger.
We've created something new for you that we will share with you when the time is right.
And during the presentation, Jinx sets a trap to distract the guards, and with the guards out of the way, there was no one to stop her from stealing Jace's crystal and research, proving Heimerdinger right. Jace is arguing that his research should be halted, along with the hex gates, but the council is afraid of the lack of income to the city.
Mr. Tallis has demonstrated his commitment to our safety. I propose that a new chair be brought forth, and that House Tallis be elevated to this august body.
Silco isn't happy with Jinx at first. Caitlyn goes to Stillwater Hold to try and interrogate a prisoner to get more information on smuggling and theft of the crystals. But instead, she finds Vi. And she shows Vi the evidence Jinx left behind and explains that the attacks Silco has been doing. So she gets the paperwork done to get Vi out of there. Now let's break down why this story is broken up into two perspectives. By focusing on the perspective of Jinx and Vi, who are part of the Undercity, while also focusing on Jace and Victor as part of the top side, you get to experience how the politics of both sides intermingle. And as the story develops, it overlaps more and more, until all the politics slowly become one and the same. Because a key point in this story is that yes, the Undercity and the Topside City are both separate, however, they are still part of the same city, which can be interpreted as, I don't know, commentary on how we treat our homeless population or our criminal population. We try to shove them away, but the problems never really gone, I think is what it's trying to say. Sweeping them under the rug isn't gonna fix the issue. Got it, I get it, I'm good. And it's exemplified with how much the enforcers intermingle and cooperate with the criminal underbelly. Victor is having bodily issues that makes him start hallucinating. He's not happy with Jace not showing the city their new inventions, and now we understand why. When Victor said people need their help, he's actually talking about himself. All the while, Jace is working to garner favor with members of the council to further hex tech research, and to get them off his back. Vi and Caitlyn go to the Undercity in search for information.
Have you heard anything about Powder? I think Silco has her.
You need to let Powder die, so the fear of pain will no longer control you.
And Vi finds Silco's second in command. Problem is, the people under Silco's grasp has been getting their hands on Shimmer and bodily enhancements, and now Vi is outclassed.
Where's my sister?
You mean Jinx? She works for him.
Jinx is slowly learning how the crystals work, using Jace's research to catch up on all the knowledge that's been developed. And when Jinx finds out Vi is back, well, you can imagine how well she takes it. Victor, now fully obsessed with the research, learns that the crystals respond to organic matter. But when Heimerdinger sees it and how it evolves, he's afraid history will repeat itself and wants them to destroy it. Jace isn't having it, and moves to have Heimerdinger into a forced retirement just to get him out of his hair. Caitlin follows some addicts to find someone who will help Vi, and he brings her to a shimmer dealer and trades her gun for the stuff. And now that Vi is back on her feet, Silco was given enough time to find them.
What have you done with my sister?
I have freed her. Candidly.
She brings down a broken up tower just so she can get away. And while she escapes, she sees the flare she gave Jinx when they were children, and the enforcers prepare to hunt. And Jinx isn't happy with Silco for lying to her. Now, he's got two problems.
Powder?
And Vi explains everything. How she tried to come back, how she wanted to help, how she was arrested, and they can finally talk. They can finally be together again. But when she sees an enforcer, Caitlin, suddenly it's hard to trust each other. And Caitlin realizes Vi's sister is Silco's puppet. They don't get much time to think when they're ambushed by the same rebel group trying to stop Silco. They manage to kidnap Vi, leaving Jinx behind. Alone again. And in Act 2, we see a series of separations. Victor from his hope, Jace from Victor, Heimerdinger from Jace, and Jinx from Vi again. We see no real resolution and only a development of more problems. My guess ended up being more or less correct where Jinx turns on Silco, however the addition of Caitlin changes things up. Now, just when we assume Vi and Jinx were about to get the closure that they so rightfully deserve, Caitlin, her presence there ruins all of it. As well as those masked rebels, whoever they are. I actually forgot about them entirely. I guess they mix things up too. We also got a lot of fun development between Caitlin and Vi.
You're hot, Cupcake. So what'll it be, man or woman?
League of Legends? More like League of Lesbians, am I right? We get to meet the man behind the mask, Echo. Echo is trying to figure out if Vi is working for Silco.
I missed you, little man.
I appreciate that. There's been a lot of moments of heartache and betrayal to where they gotta really add some moments of softness so that it doesn't become too much. Victor, on the other hand, is being drawn to taking Shimmer just to survive. Echo has been working to fight the addiction problem with the spread of Shimmer.
Your sister works for him not because she has to, but because she wants to. I'm sorry, but that's who she is now.
The Undercity and Topside are getting difficult now that the borders are closing and more fighting is starting up. It's actually really interesting how the developments in Arcane parallel what's happening in our real world. With the borders closed and trade stopped, business has also stopped, both with the Topside and in the Undercity, and people are having problems getting what they need. However, the border protections were created in order to stop Silco's company from doing anything with the crystals and possibly prevent another attack on the people. It's very much a lose-lose situation. You either close the border to protect the people, but hurt your own business, and hurting business hurts the people, or you let the border stay open and let business continue, risking more attacks by more criminals, which will also hurt the people. Jinx confronts Silco about why Silco didn't tell her Vi was back, and Silco does what he does best.
She and the Enforcer are back for the crystal. Not for you. I am your family. Everyone else betrays us. I need you. Now more than ever.
Caitlin asks Echo to give back the gemstone in order to help settle disputes between the people, but Echo wants to be the one to give it to the council. The council, however, wants to use the gemstones to develop weapons to defend themselves from the Undercity. Victor uses the shimmer on himself and tries to commune with the runes in order to heal himself. Vi decides to stay behind so she can go after Jinx. She refuses to give up on her. Echo and Caitlyn are confronted by enforcers, and Caitlyn tries to convince them Silco is behind everything. Problem is, that's a dirty cop, and Echo gets shot. I guess Vi is turning around, and Jinx isn't happy that Vi and Caitlyn are working together. Jinx unleashes a ton of her explosive bugs to save them, and also take back the gemstone. And Echo feels very justified in kicking Jinx's ass, which he does so, and gets the stone back. Vi and Caitlyn leave while Echo holds off Jinx. And when Silco finds her, he finds out Jinx nabbed the crystal before Echo could take it back. And again, on the bridge, Vi sees her family being taken away. In a weird way, Silco shows he does care for her, but it's hard to tell if it's a fatherly love or if it's because he still needs her to develop weapons for him. And the doctor he goes to for help knocks him out, so he's out of the way. And Silco's business associates are planning to turn on him, including convincing the people who work under him. The doctor does heal her though, at least heals her body. Heimerdinger finds Echo underneath the bridge, wounded. I'm glad they didn't forget about Heimerdinger, he's nice. Not really having much other choice, Vi and Caitlyn go straight to the council to present everything they've learned. And the council wants to talk to Silco, but Vi tries to tell them that's not gonna work, and the proposal doesn't really go anywhere.
Top sides and bottom, oil and water, that's all there is. What about us? Oil and water. Was it meant to be?
Hopefully you didn't forget about Victor, because it looks like his attempt to commune with the crystals worked, and now he's no longer crippled. But now he's going to further and further beyond what he should. It doesn't seem like he knows when to stop. He's found a power he doesn't want to give up, carving the runes into his skin, changing more of his body, even at the cost of his assistant. Vi goes to the most impetuous counselor, Jace, and convinces him to operate outside the council to go after Silco, and we see Vi get her coveted gauntlets.
Take out his manufacturing facilities. Hit him hard and fast before he can react. We got a deal, pretty boy?
And they really don't waste any time going for the shimmer manufacturing. But of course we need to have a cool fight scene to show off those gauntlets, baby! Whoa! Oh no, oh shit. And here Jace sees what the Undercity is like. How cruel and ruthless it is, even to the point of exploiting innocent children who don't really have any other choice than making drugs. And people up top are so removed from the struggle of everyone below that it sets everything into perspective.
You've always been a part of this. You just never had to look it in the eye.
This is over.
Not for me.
Wow, well, that didn't last long. Victor wants the Hex Core destroyed after seeing what it's done. He doesn't care about his disease anymore. Jace doesn't want war to break out, so he talks to Silco directly, bartering. But if Silco wants power, Jace wants him to give up Jinx. And while Silco laments over what he must do, Jinx has been listening the entire time. Vi is coping with things, you know, in her own way, I suppose.
Bravo, sis.
Jace has brokered a peace with Silco in exchange for the Undercity's independence.
Jinx wrestled up everyone, Vi, Caitlyn, and Silco in a classic Mad Tea Party Final Supper scenario. She gives Vi an ultimatum. Kill Caitlyn, and she can have her sister back. But Vi just isn't able to do that. Jinx has a very real problem. She's going back and forth between someone like Silco, who has helped her, but may not have her best interest at heart, or someone like Vi, who seems to have her best interest at heart, however, has proven to have not helped her and leave her abandoned in her most important time of need, regardless of the fact that it was not her fault. From Jinx's perspective, she was not there, and that's all that matters. It's hard to decide who to trust when both of them do not seem trustworthy. Caitlyn manages to get out of her ropes. Only one issue, Jinx is still hopped up on Shimmer, and makes quick work of Caitlyn. And in this moment, she needs to make a choice. And that decision was pretty easy when Silco grabs her gun and aims at her. Less of a decision and more of a reaction, but what's done is done. It was the push she needed, but she wasn't really ready to make that decision.
I never would have given you to them. Not for anything.
But she does make one choice on her own. The choice to accept who she is. And accepts that she's different. She's not the same anymore. Neither of them are the same. She accepts this change and decides to stop holding on to the past. Now that there can't be any negotiations with the council, she fires a missile directly into the council chamber. Just as they were voting for peace, she sparks the war. I knew people were saying that this show is good, but I didn't expect it to be that good. I didn't expect this level of depth or maturity from this series. I'm glad they really went out of their way to crack down on all the themes and flesh out all of these characters. Well, okay, I suppose all the characters were already fleshed out because they're characters from a game that's been going on for several years. Do MOBAs have a story mode? I assume there's a story mode. I assume they added the story to all these characters. Of course they would. What else do you do with characters? But they made every character shine, and there's a big cast of characters, and that's a very tall task to do. Some of the characters, that of which also shined, I didn't even talk about in this video because I just couldn't find a place for them in the script. I also don't know why I'm shocked at how Jinx developed, seeing as we know her character. I don't know her character that well, but I feel silly that when she sat in the chair labeled Jinx, because of course she would. And I think that's a testament to how well the story with that scene was written. I was so caught up in the tension of that scene, I didn't actually think about the obvious at all. I was so enthralled, I was immersed in what was going on, and how all of the back and forth between all the characters was finally coming together in one, I don't want to use tense again, but tense moment, to where I was so focused on how it would develop that I didn't care that I knew how it would develop if I just put like 2 seconds of thought into it. And this show did more than just beat out Squid Game, as, you know, the most watched show on Netflix. It also sparked the big debate over writers for animated series getting paid 80% less than writers for live action series, even though it's still writing, you're still writing scripts. And honestly, with my experience, I tend to prefer animated shows more than live action shows, especially stuff like from CW, like Batwoman or Green Arrow or Flash. Okay, those are all DC. I guess that doesn't really count, but still, you know what I mean. It not only smacked down the top dog of Netflix, but also sparked controversy, that of which does not harm this series, and in fact only helps it in every way. And with that being said, the writing is the same for animated series and live action series, and the fact that there's such a big disparity between the paying is disgusting. And not only that, but the animation industry in America is slowly following the same road as the animation industry in Japan, and if you know anything about that, that is a massive problem, and we need to really crack down on that as soon as possible. But tell me in the comments below what you thought of Arcane, and also tell me your predictions on what's going to happen in Season 2. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, or you can support the channel on Patreon, where you can get monthly stickers and trading cards every month. Stay beautiful, and keep playing.